and welcome to another episode of the Chaos Chronicles.
Navigating the randomness.
I'm Jess.
I'm Connie.
And today we are going to be talking about the case of Jasmine Richardson and Jeremy Stanky.
Stanky? I know some folks with that last name.
It's a unique last name, but this takes place in Canada. So
interesting.
This will be a very interesting episode, but do want to warn you guys, viewer discretion. This is gory in parts, a lot of violence, a lot of just it's an episode. So viewer discretion, listen at your own risk, will.
Oh yeah, assumption of the risk. Well, in that case, before we get into that, just a reminder, we would very much appreciate a like and subscribe, as well as a follow on all of our social medias, which you can find us at TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, and Instagram. The handle for all four is at Chaos Chronicles Podcast, and that's Chronicles with an S.
Yes. All right. Well, to begin, I do want to let you guys know that my notes came from this book here called Runaway Devil by Robert Remington and Sherry Zickefoose. Zickefoose.
I don't know, but that's awesome. I like that.
It's an interesting last name. So I'm going to kind of just walk through how the book is set up and stuff like that. So we do go back and forth quite a bit. I did take out the names of some of the friends later down in the story just because I don't know. I felt kind of weird about writing their names down. So I think one of them I gave kind of a nickname to, but we'll get to it. This is also going to be a multi-part episode. Or series, whatever you want to call it.
We're not sure how many parts yet. We'll record it out, but just for reference, and I promise we're getting into the story here in a second.
Yes.
Our episodes, our longer ones, are normally like 13 pages of notes. Jess took 40 pages of notes.
40. So we really have no gauge on how many parts this will be, but by the time this comes up, I will say it's part one of however many. So you guys will know how many are going to be coming.
Perfect. All right. Well, I'm excited. I don't know anything about this, by the way. I just know there's 40 pages of notes. I know it takes place in Canada, but that's it. So I'm going to be reacting in real time with you guys.
Yeah. Oh, and if you guys have seen the short or TikTok of Connie kind of singing to Taylor Swift song saying that he is 23, she is 12, it's pedophilia. We were talking about this case because that's the only information that I gave to Connie.
There we go. Ooh, strong start with pedophilia. Yay.
It's great. Yep. So like I said, this episode is going to be brutal, so viewers' discretion. So this case occurred on April 23rd of 2006 in Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada. So this case is a family of 4, and 3 of the 4 members are brutally murdered. Mark Richardson, the father, Deborah, the mother, and Jacob, the 8-year-old son and brother. Jasmine is the daughter, and she is age 12. And I have in my notes, again, to warn you guys, violence, gory stuff is coming. And we're going to kind of dive right into that in the beginning here. So the Richardsons' next door neighbor has a little boy named Gareth, who is 6 years old, and Gareth and Jacob were inseparable. In fact, on the 22nd, they were playing all day, and Gareth was actually supposed to spend the night at Jacob's house, but instead went to his grandmother's because she got last-minute tickets to a huge hockey tournament. Gareth's mother, Sarah, got home from having dinner with a friend around 10:30 p.m., and she parked in the driveway that was shared with the Richardsons and noted that their lights were off and everything seemed to be normal. Gareth was sound asleep in his bed at home. The next day, Sarah brought her kids to her mother's house in the morning, but were going to leave after lunch. Sarah suggested to Gareth that he should call Jacob to see if he could come over to play or not. The phone rang, and the answering machine picked up. Gareth was disappointed, so they packed up and headed back home. Gareth's face lit up, though, when they pulled in the driveway and saw that Mark's white pickup truck was still in the driveway. Gareth ran next door as Sarah went inside her house. Gareth was back in a couple of minutes and in an urgent but calm and even voice said, quote, "Mommy, there's bodies at Jacob's with blood on them. I saw them through the basement window." Sarah looked back at him in disbelief, but Gareth wasn't one to make up stories. Sarah asked what he said, and Gareth tells her to come quick. As they're walking over to the Richardsons, Sarah is warning Gareth that he better not be lying because stuff like this is serious. Gareth presses his face and hands to the ground floor window, and Sarah does the same. She sees a body of a man laying face up on the floor wearing black boxer shorts. His legs are smeared with blood, and he appears to be reaching out his arms as if in motion, but he wasn't moving. There was so much blood, and it was also coating his face, so Sarah was unsure if it was actually Mark. But then she saw Deborah's body behind a couch, lying on the floor, almost on her back, and in an oddly bent angle. Her legs were also smeared with blood. Sarah grabbed Gareth by the arm, and they took a few steps to her front door. She was afraid to go inside, though, because she was scared that the attacker was lurking around. Understandably so.
Yeah, where's the 911 call in this?
We're getting there. So she decides to call her mother, saying something bad happened next door, and she needs to come over. Her mother told Sarah that she needs to call 911, but she'll be right there. You know, I will give her some grace. Sometimes when you're panicked, 911 is not the first thing that comes to your mind.
Good point. Okay.
Yeah, I remember there was someone that was like pounding on our back door one time, and I panicked and I called Mitch instead of
911.
the cops.
And you're a first responder, so yeah.
Yeah. So I will give her some grace.
That's valid.
Yeah, so they hung up the phone, and Sarah called 911 and told the dispatchers exactly what she saw. Sarah was anxious and worried that the attacker could have broken in her house when she was at her mother's, and so she was too scared to go into her home. So she loaded Gareth in the car and backed out of the driveway and parked on the street waiting for both her mother and police to arrive. Very smart.
That's honestly, yeah, especially because it sounds like this is a conjoined house.
Not a conjoined house. They have like the same parking lot, or not parking lot.
Driveway?
They share a driveway, but there are two separate houses.
But like right next to each other.
Yes.
Got it.
Yep. So I'm assuming from the sounds of it, it's like steps apart. So the call was dispatched, and the chief of police, Norm Boucher, was en route to the Richardsons in an unmarked police cruiser and wondered if this was a prank.
Hell of a prank.
Well, this wasn't an area that stuff like this was normal. This was a really, really great neighborhood. Great area.
Oh, so pranks were normal, not like bloody gotcha.
Yeah.
So kids being bored was normal.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Like, having this be real was beyond abnormal because this was such an amazing place to live. Like, this is the place.
It's always the nicest places.
Mm-hmm. So Sergeant Brent Secondock was the first on scene at 1:34 p.m. He was patrolling an area not far from the house when the call went out. Brent says, "I kind of had a gut feeling it was a bigger call. It was kind of surreal. I just had a gut feeling." When you're a first responder, you can't describe it. You just have a feeling when you know that things are real. Because you get a lot of those calls that just aren't at all what they came out to be. But so Brent arrived and looked into the window and saw bodies. Thoughts started flooding his head. Was this a domestic dispute? A murder-suicide? A homicide? Was the killer still in the house? He immediately called for backup and retrieved a protective tactical shield from his car, pulled his gun, and waited. 3 officers arrived within minutes. One of the 3, Constable Ian Scrivener, was a member of the tactical SWAT unit and had special training on clearing rooms for high-risk situations. He broke down the locked door using a 35-kilo battering ram. They entered the house at 1:45 p.m. They see blood immediately that was smeared on both walls of the staircase that led to the upstairs bedroom, and more leading to the basement of the split-level home where they had seen the bodies. In front of them was the living room that appeared to be undisturbed. In the kitchen, there was a red smear near the handle of the back door. The team of 4 split into 2. 2 went upstairs and the other went down. In the basement, they found a woman lying on the floor in an unnatural position, partially on her back, partially on her side, and her head slightly propped up on the back of the couch. She was wearing a blue nightgown. There was a large blood stain around her body on the carpet and blood smears over her legs. There was a little black dog at her side who was barking and began to whimper. I know, the dog gets me all the time.
That's so sad.
I know. To her left was a man in black boxer shorts, lying face up on the floor in a dark pool of blood. His legs were also smeared with blood. They turned on the basement lights to get a better view and saw that the man's hands were clenched upward as if he was ready to fight. There were multiple slices, punctures, and cuts all over his face and body. There was a screwdriver laying next to him, and nearby was a black-handled knife. The police walked towards him cautiously and intended to handcuff him, but as they got closer, they realized that he was actually deceased and his hands were frozen upward in rigor mortis, which is very unusual.
Incredibly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, rigor mortis not unusual, but that position.
That position, very, very... I've never seen that. I've never seen arms or legs upwards. Yeah.
That screams very traumatic death.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
So now moving on to the other team of 2 that were going up the stairs. So they followed the blood trail that was on the wall and noticed that the carpet in the hallways was sticky wet with blood. There was a bathroom on the right, and there was a knife lying on the counter in pink blood, seemingly after being rinsed. On the left, there was a girl's pink bedroom, an unmade bed, and the room cluttered, but no signs of violence in that room. The next bedroom, they saw on his bed a little boy in his underwear, lying on his right side with a gash in his throat. His eyes were wide open. Blood everywhere on the bed, floors, purple walls, his Pokemon cards, wrestling figures, and on a toy Star Wars lightsaber that was on the floor. The officers were hoping that he was still alive, but the only thing living in that room was a hamster that was in a cage in the closet. The 4 officers all met back on the main level after clearing the house and prepared to regroup outside. As they walked to the front door, they saw a framed portrait on the coffee table. It was of a mom, dad, daughter, and son. The girl was missing. They began to question the neighbors on what they believed happened, and they asked about Jasmine, the missing girl in the photo, if they knew where she was or where she could be. The neighbors informed the police that Jasmine was 12 but appeared to be much older. She looked to be at least 16 and seemed to be a normal, rebellious teenager. Dog teams and detectives arrived on scene, and they were still unable to locate Jasmine. The police wondered if she decided to stay at a friend's overnight. If she did, she was lucky that she wasn't there. But what would she do when she found out about her family? Then the police began to fear that Jasmine may have been abducted by the killer and he was holding her somewhere. Right, so now we're gonna backing up. So Mark and Deborah weren't as perfect as people may have seen them. They both had been in substance abuse recovery programs when they met in the 1990s. Mark had entered a 12-step rehab program shortly before his 23rd birthday in 1986. Staff there remembered him, even though they assisted over 2,000 men in over 40 years. Staff described Mark as, quote, a good-looking man with dark hair who knew exactly what he wanted, end quote.
Okay, that's a little... If someone remembers you, it's either because you're really good or really bad.
I know.
In that
Apparently it was
context.
really good, but I have a hard time believing that fully. But supposedly it was all good things.
Okay.
Yeah, when Mark and Deborah met, she was 6 years older than Mark, and they both had recovered from their addictions. They got married in 1991, and Deborah gave birth to their oldest, Jasmine, in October of 1993. She gave birth to their second, Jacob, in 96. So literally same age as us. Jacob was described as never making a fuss. Jasmine adored her brother, and they would play all the time. Jasmine was a typical little girl, very pretty, and wore dresses. They weren't wealthy. Deborah visited the food banks often, but was never ashamed of it. Deborah eventually became a mentor and sponsor at Narcotics Anonymous. She spoke at meetings and was an inspiration to all who listened. Mark and Deborah devoted their lives to help people get off of drugs and alcohol. Mark was brought up in a French-speaking Catholic family, and Deborah was more interested in native spirituality and always kept a dream catcher on the wall leading to the family's bedrooms. Their neighbors said that Mark and Deborah treated each other and their children with respect and love, and they were the family that everyone wished they had.
Okay.
So, all good things so far. Mark got a promotion, and the company paid for the family to move to Medicine Hat. Mark and Deborah, after being married for 15 years, finally bought their own home, which was a 4-level split that was on a suburban street, and in the backyard there was a fire pit and a tree house. Now, Medicine Hat was the ideal place to raise children. They decided on a house that was very close to schools and the Medicine Hat Mall. So Jasmine and Jacob were very excited about the move. Neighbors described Jacob as being the most joyful, energetic kid, and in his kindergarten yearbook, Jacob put that he wanted to be a policeman or a soldier when he got older. And the thing that he liked most about himself was that he has a family and he is fast.
Just your typical 10-year-old kid stuff.
Eat.
Oh, wait, but I thought this happened in 2006 and he was born in 1996.
96.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 9 or 10.
Maybe it was 10. We'll get to that. My brain just farted. Maybe it was 2004. We'll get to it. It's fine. In this new neighborhood, Deborah started an at-home business as a Reiki practitioner. This is a Japanese stress reduction technique, and she had a small studio in the lower level of the family home.
Oh, Reiki.
Reiki. Okay, I don't
No,
know how to pronounce that.
I've heard it as Reiki. I don't know if it's right either.
It's Reiki for those of you that are curious. Yeah. So Jasmine had long dark hair, blue eyes, and a luminous smile. Her room was typical of a preteen: stuffed animals, books, and jewelry. They moved to Medicine Hat when Jasmine was entering 5th grade. She attended a Catholic school and was a studious, quiet honor student. She was well-adjusted and easily made new friends. Her friends were typical girls. They went to the mall, went to movies, went to water parks, and Jasmine was even in a local swim club. While in 6th grade, Jasmine and some of her friends began to question the religious teachings. They were frustrated, and it was clear to her friends that Jasmine had no desired belief in God at all. Jasmine and her friends began to test the limits of authority. Jasmine and her friends would hang out at the mall and eventually were drawn to a group of goths. There were about a dozen of these teenagers. They dressed in all black, wore black nail polish and eyeliner, dyed their hair black, and sometimes wore white face makeup. Soon, Jasmine and her friends began to wear more black clothing. Jasmine occasionally wore a choker and an oversized black hoodie with a logo of a heavy metal band. Jasmine saw the lyrics in this type of music to be not as violent, but creative. And she even said, quote, "It's expressive and lets out feelings. It's not all about killing people," end quote.
Okay, this is sounding very typical of your suburban teenager just trying to have some rebellion against the picket fence authority.
Absolutely.
Definitely tracking.
Yep.
I empathize. I was a little bit there myself, but
every teenager goes through that.
Oh yeah, the bad eyeliner, the bad hair, the black sweatshirts.
At least people our age, we all went through the raccoon eyes phase.
Oh God, yes, it was bad. Those 99-cent eyeliner pencils.
We didn't have YouTube tutorials, okay?
No, that didn't come out till later. Everyone just walked around with a line between your face and your neck.
Orange, pale.
Yep. Or for some it was pale, less pale. We had some goths.
Yeah.
They were more emos at that point, but
yeah.
I mean, this part's not sounding too far off, except, and I might be projecting my own personal here. You said teenagers. Were they older? Was she a 12-year-old hanging out with much older kids?
We'll get to that. We will get to that. Yep.
Oh, no.
So Jasmine's circle of friends began to drift apart, and they eventually split into two groups. The side with Jasmine was labeled as the bad group, and the other group shunned them. Jasmine was maturing more quickly than others in her class, and even though she was only 11, she could easily pass for 15 or 16.
Oh, so she's like 11, 12 at most of this time?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Between 11 and 12 for this whole, except for the very end.
That's not a good combo, because I was kind of that same way around like 11 or 12. I definitely looked more 14, 15.
Yeah.
And that led to many uncomfortable situations where I was lucky enough that, I had no interest in that. But there was, oh no.
So according to the book, research shows that girls who reach puberty early are at risk for delinquency and aggressive behaviors, and are also more likely to be depressed, socially withdrawn, moody, and become sexually active.
For some, yeah.
Yeah, for some, not all.
Not all.
They're just at a little higher risk rate for all that.
Yeah.
So the summer between 6th and 7th grade, Jasmine joined several social networking websites where she created an online alter ego. A few months before turning 12, Jasmine registered on mindviz.com. This was a website with heavy teen content. I have never heard of any of these websites, by the way.
I was thinking you're going to say something like, MySpace or AOL. Was Tumblr a thing back then?
Tumblr was
that like 2008?
I think Tumblr became a thing when we were freshmen in high school.
Oh, probably.
Or at least I became aware of it when we were freshmen. But yeah, so this was a website with heavy teen content and also offered instant messaging and chat areas. On this site, Jasmine made a profile describing herself describing herself as bisexual and single with a dog. She didn't list her age, but with dark hair and makeup, she looked much older. In the profile picture, she was holding a realistic replica of a handgun in her hand and pointed at the ceiling, which is the picture. I sent Connie some pictures beforehand so she could have a picture in her mind of who we would be talking about. If you just look up Jasmine Richardson and Jeremy Stanky, you can.
She honestly, she looks like she is 17 in that picture.
Yeah, she looks a lot older.
Like between the makeup, I mean, granted, it's a grainy photo, the hair.
And she's 11.
She's 11, 12 in that picture?
In that picture, she's 11.
She's 11?
She's 11. Go check out the picture. It'll blow your mind. She's 11.
If there's no copyright issues, maybe we can put it in there so people can see it. But like, oh my God, she looks 17.
Yeah, she's 11. Uh-huh.
Also, why is an 11-year-old posting that they're bisexual or anything about their sexuality online at 11?
She was one of those that matured earlier and was interested in that stuff.
I personally take issue with that phrase of they matured earlier. I don't know if it's matured earlier as much as they are trying to act older.
Their body is matured earlier, and so they projected that they were going to be mature earlier.
Good point, but your body looking more mature, as we can both agree on this, does not mean that your frontal cortex is developed and that you are mature.
No, I fully agree with that. Oh, there's going to be a lot that I'm not even into the just you wait. All right, so
good.
She also made a MySpace. Her username was X_madness_X and claimed she was 16. The interests that she listed were hatchets, serial killers, criminal psychology, blood, moonlight, human anatomy, and kinky shit.
You should not know what kinky shit is at that. I am not blaming the child. I am not blaming the child. Also, this is not a good situation.
It's not, but just wait till you hear her heroes.
Oh, son of a... Is this going to be Ted Bundy? Don't tell me it's fucking Ted Bundy.
Oh, better. Jeffrey Dahmer. Who we will eventually do an episode on, but we have not made it to that one yet.
Oh, thank God we ate the chicken before this episode. I would not be able to... Okay.
No. That was her number one hero she listed. She also listed Batman.
No. Those are opposites. Batman would not be like, Jeffrey Dahmer, yay. No. That's my Ben Affleck Batman voice, but no.
An illusionist named Chris Angels.
Oh, Chris Angel. Oh my God.
And then
I forgot about him.
a couple heavy metal artists. She named Marilyn Manson and Danny Flith.
Marilyn Manson?
Manson, thank you. I don't know why I said Manson.
He was weird. Really weird. Granted, that's fitting because I thought he had a whole bunch of things where he got in trouble because he was getting a little touchy-feely with some young groupies at like her age, Jasmine's age.
That would not surprise me.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was him.
With the direction where this episode goes, that did not surprise me. So when Jasmine returned for her 7th grade year at school, the school counselor noticed that she had a dramatic change, and she and Jasmine had several conversations about her breaching the school's dress code. Jasmine was wearing short skirts and chains, fishnet stockings, spiked collars, black mesh tops, and wore heavy makeup with an addition of teardrops and stars that were made from black eyeliner.
I know exactly what this girl looks like. We had girls that looked like this at my school.
Same.
And a quick question. Where did she get all this? Was mommy and daddy buying this? Was she buying this with babysitting money? Like, if your child asks for fishnets, don't get them fishnets.
I'm assuming a lot of assumptions being made here. It sounded like mommy and daddy kind of gave money and she was at the mall all by herself doing whatever with friends. And
I was raised very differently.
oh, same.
Like when I had my crappy eyeliner phase, that's because I saved my babysitting money and biked to Target with my friends to go get it.
I only got makeup because I was in musicals and it was mandatory. And then I wasn't allowed to wear makeup outside of that. So I would bring it to school with me. And then I would start doing the jet black eyeliner raccoon
waterline, that overline. Yep, I did that too.
It was so bad. Yep.
So again, I'm not anyone who wants to get all offended in the comments of like, "Ooh, you're blaming the parents, they were victims." I'm not blaming. I'm just saying like, hey, not great. Obviously this family didn't ask for this to happen. Jasmine didn't ask for this to happen.
Well,
what?
We'll get to that.
What? Okay, so, I'm shutting up. Let's go. What?
We will get to that. Mark and Deborah were called about their daughter's appearance, but they weren't concerned at all. At the Medicine Hat Mall, Jasmine and her friends found some members of the local goth community, a 19-year-old who was known as Raven, and a 20 or 21-year-old known as Trenchcoat. Hey, Connie, I want you to meet my friend Trenchcoat.
I'm imagining that as a parent, if my child, who is already maybe displaying some things that I'm concerned about, tells me...
But they weren't concerned.
Oh, they weren't concerned. But you should be concerned. I'm sorry. You should be concerned. And then your kid's like, yeah, my friend Raven, my friend Trenchcoat. By the way, Trenchcoat's 10 years older than me. Raven's like 8, 9 years older than me. I'd be like, come here, little motherfucker. We're going to sit the fuck down and talk because absolutely not. No.
So Jasmine, like the older teenagers who were complicated and who had piercings and tattoos.
They're not complicated, they're whiny.
Yes.
If you are that age hanging out with kids, you got issues.
So they also weren't afraid of consequences at all either. The age difference wasn't unusual for this goth mall crowd. Many a part of this crowd said that this group didn't discriminate based on age. It's just a number, and it shouldn't inhibit friendships. Do you need a minute?
I need a fucking red flag. I need an actual red flag. Anyone who says age is just a number, no.
Maybe we'll get a couple red flags, and from now on, we'll just hold them up whenever we
need red.
It would never go down in this episode, by the way.
It would be a neon red. I cannot describe just how volatile and just I can feel the bile in my throat when someone says age is just a number. Okay, well, prison sentence is just a number if I beat your ass then. Like, no.
Connie?
Hypothetical.
Hypothetical.
Not admissible in a court of law.
Yeah, that. This is just the tip of the iceberg. This is why I said, wear something comfy. We're going to be here a while.
We should have a blood pressure monitor for this episode, just a live reading on the side.
I am just waiting for my watch to tell me that my heart rate is high. It yells at me from time to time.
I will be yelling. I'm sorry. I'll be yelling.
On November 10th, 2005, Jasmine joined vampirefreaks.com and listed her age as 15 when she had just turned 12. Her online name was X-killer-kitty-X. She posted dozens of sultry photos of herself and had 12 online friends.
Hi, hello, real quick. Common sense just hopping in here. That is child pornography.
Ding, ding, ding.
Even if you're posting it of yourself as a child pornography.
Mm-hmm.
The sharing of it, like sending it to a friend of, oh my God, did you see this? Distribution of child pornography. I'm not a lawyer, but at the same time, don't do that.
Yeah.
Where are mom and dad when sultry pictures are being posted? Again, you can't control everything your children do.
Know.
I get it. They don't know. I was going to say, I know they were chill with the goth thing. I'm not hating on goths. I know some very, very kind goths.
Mm-hmm. I know. 2 weeks later, on November 26, 2005, she joined Zoropia. I'm going to just say that's what it is. It's Zorpia, and adopted the name of Runaway Devil. Hence the title of the book.
What is Zoropia?
I don't know what is Vampire Freaks?
What happens after you start Twilight? I don't know. Twilight's a gateway drug to vampire freaks, I guess.
Apparently. Around this time, Jasmine started dating Devin, a 16-year-old cook at the Medicine Hat Pancake House.
Sorry. Real quick. 16 dating her at 12?
He had no idea that Jasmine wasn't a teenager. He thought she was at least a 9th grader because she acted older and she was more mature than other girls. Again, you saw the photo of her when she was 12 and you said she looked like she was 17.
When she was 11. Okay, I get it. And granted, boys at that age are not being like, hey, show me your school ID or something.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to hate on the 16-year-old. Okay.
Yeah.
Shutting up.
When Deborah found out about Devin, she insisted that she meets with the two of them.
Real quick, Deborah's the mom, right?
Mom.
Jasmine's mom. Okay.
Yep. So Deborah was nice about it and open-minded, but also protective of her daughter. Devin said that during this time, Jasmine was very awkward and was humiliated when they were meeting her mom.
Oh, did the parents drop that she's, 12?
Apparently not. I'm assuming they assumed that he knew.
Do they know how old he was?
Mm-hmm. I don't know for sure, but there's a 6-year age gap between mom and dad, so...
Mom and dad were in their 20s when they met.
I understand that. I'm just trying to grasp at anything I can at this point.
Just keep going.
Okay. And Devin started to grow jealous of Jasmine, having heart-to-hearts with older boys in the circle like Raven, who Jasmine called her soulmate. So Devin confronts her, and after seeing Jasmine and Raven hugging, they broke up. On December 28th, 2005, Jasmine joined Nexopia, nexopia.com. Have you heard of this one either?
No.
Okay. Maybe things were different in Canada. I don't know. Apparently, this was a popular teen social networking website in Alberta. I guess that makes more sense now. She also here used the username of Runaway Devil. On this page, she posted, quote, I am the almighty Jax, Jaxz, bow down. I think deep thoughts. I am quite emotional, and my mood is ever changing, although I can be good at hiding my feelings. I don't trust easily. I have lots of energy or very little. I like to make attempts at poetry and anime. I make Wookiee noises and often scare small children.
I know, right?
It's the
I'm Everything
We're not done
about
with this
that,
quote either.
I am envisioning one girl in particular that was a year older than me. Yeah, all of that is just extreme, cringe, melodramatic. If you see someone posting that, walk away. That is called instability.
I feel like the second part of this post is worse than the first part.
Oh, good.
So we left off with, I make Wookiee noises and often scare small children. I'm afraid of llamas. I am told I am mentally retarded. Often I am loud and bounce a lot. When I am hyper, I like to dress up and want an Edward Scissorhands outfit. Other people live in my head with me. I like random questions. I like to pretend I'm a gangster sometimes. Don't worry, I'm not. Yeah, sometimes I watch Teen Titans because I'm that cool. I play guitar and I suck. And that's the end of the post.
Okay. Well, one, I'm going to agree with her about the Teen Titans show. I do love that. Okay, I didn't know about the second half of that when I said mentally unstable. I do feel like this is a little proving my point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's just keep going into this dumpster fire of hell.
Yeah. So on this page, she also posted passages from heavy metal songs. Her list of likes on this page are Cream, Jumpolines, not trampolines, Jumpolines,
Maybe that's a Canadian thing.
Midgets, Tricycles, Squirrel Men, and Killing Livestock, Dark Poetry, and Loud Music.
Why were we so obsessed with the random quirkiness at that age?
You wanted to stand out from the crowd?
I do remember being like, "Oh, random. Random is funny. We like random." Not to that extent.
No.
At least me and my friends weren't.
Are you ready to hear her list of wishes?
Therapy? Is it therapy? It should be therapy.
That should be the number one wish, but it's not. Right eyebrow piercing, horizontal belly surface piercing, center lip piercing, tongue piercing, sternum piercing, wrist and ankle bars, double webbed piercing, upper arm fleshy plaiting, eye area dermal anchoring, Reiki.
Reiki?
How do you say the Japanese thing?
I think it's Reiki.
Reiki symbol of power tattoo on back left thigh, transdermal staples and bar designed between shoulders, cracked and bleeding elaborate broken heart sacrificient. This is word for word from her page, by the way, the word jumble and all. Starting at the low back, stretching north and south, and a dark fear for failure. Those are her wishes. Do you want her dislikes now?
Keeping the body free of piercings and tattoos?
Homophobia, ageism, sexism, hypocrites, public transportation, being dried out, bunnies, llamas, people who take things from her profile, chlorine in my hair, and small children.
Okay, I can vibe with her on public transportation. Well, and obviously homophobia is not good either. But okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So now we're going to turn wheels again a little bit. Now, so in Medicine Hat, 100 years ago, wolves were plentiful, but hunters shot them for bounty. This brought tensions with local tribes and resulted in a massacre in Cypress Hill. Essentially, people believe that you can hear the cries of the spirits of those killed along with the howls of the wolves that were killed and skinned. Now, I'm sure you're thinking, what does this have to do with our story? Jeremy Stanky was a 23-year-old high school dropout who lived in the Medicine Hat trailer park with his mom. Jeremy believed he was one with the hunted and tormented wolves. He fantasized about being a werewolf and wrote that he was part of the Lycan Brotherhood, whose empire would rise. Werewolves are real, Connie. Then he would also boast to people whenever the moon was on the rise, telling them to avoid certain places because he may eat them. His mother believed that this werewolf fantasy was an alter ego for a bullied child. He was mercilessly bullied in school and abused by an alcoholic father and also 2 stepfathers who also abused him. When he was in 3rd grade, he would leave school early because he was being teased so badly. His mother tried to talk to teachers, but no one would listen. Now, his alcoholic father, apparently he came home almost every night drunk and would whip him with his belt and drag him to his room by his ears. His mother left his father when Jeremy was 2, but then got back together with him and had another child with him. Eventually, this marriage ended after 7 years. Jeremy says that his stepfather was even more brutal than his mother described. So his mother said that her 3rd husband once pushed Jeremy into a deep freezer, injuring Jeremy's head, and also once grabbed Jeremy's neck and gave him an uppercut to the face and pounded him on the back of the head. It's a lot of trauma to your head.
That's a lot of... Okay, the werewolf thing is making sense. Also, where are the cops in that? That is beyond abuse of a child. Mm-hmm. You could argue that for attempted murder. What degree is different? And I don't know Canadian law, but like...
We'll get into it eventually.
Oh, good.
That's at the very end, so it won't be in this episode. It'll be in one of the other parts. Yeah, so like my brain goes, does this guy have a TBI, traumatic brain injury?
With the alter ego of the whole werewolf thing and that amount of consistent both emotional and physical trauma, I would be shocked if he didn't suffer multiple concussions leading to a TBI.
Absolutely. Very, very plausible. Never verified or anything, so we don't know. But yeah, we are speculating over here. All right, so the abusive relationships his mother had caused them to move frequently. In his early teens, Jeremy started drinking and taking marijuana, ecstasy, acid, and mushrooms. And then at the age of 20, started cocaine.
Oh, why not?
Yeah, just throw that in there. It's fine. It's not fine.
It's not fine. If y'all don't understand sarcasm, that was heavy sarcasm.
That was heavy sarcasm. During this time, Jeremy had expressed that he wished that he wasn't alive and became a cutter on his arms. Jeremy ultimately dropped out of school a few months into 10th grade from being bullied so badly. He moved in with friends in low-rent apartments and worked low-paying jobs that he hated. Jeremy's relationships were also failures. At 20, he was dating a 17-year-old who claimed that he was the father of her baby. To this day, Jeremy's mother disputes this, saying that a paternity test was demanded, but she never would follow through with it. Mm-hmm. They were together for a little over a year and a half, but she said that she couldn't deal with his Jekyll and Hyde personality. After their breakup, Jeremy started going for younger and younger girls. The summer of 2005, at age 22, Jeremy started to go goth, according to close friends of his. Jeremy realized that the goth culture had grown and had the same personality as he did. A friend says he got into heavy metal music and started looking the part. He was trying to become someone that he wasn't, but they accepted him anyways. He started to drift away from his old friends and started hanging out with younger kids. Now, the desire to hang out with younger people is common for those who have fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. Some effects of this disorder are stunted growth, lower mental and emotional capacities, and about 60% of those with this also have ADHD, which Jeremy had. This hasn't been confirmed, but it is speculated that Jeremy had this. But the only way to confirm it is for the mother to confirm that they were drinking during pregnancy, and his mother denies it.
Well, yeah. How many mothers are going to actively admit that they were drinking during pregnancy?
Not many.
Exactly.
Not many at all. Unless other people confirm it. But
I know a few folks who have the fetal alcohol syndrome, and it's literally the only reason people know is because they saw the mom drinking.
Yep.
And like tried to get her to stop, and she didn't.
Yep. So a 14-year-old in the goth group and friends with Jeremy said that he would do anything if it meant that someone would love him.
Okay, that's sad if a 14-year-old is able to suss that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeremy also wrote poetry, and at this time he wrote, quote, "I live inside an ice empire where my heart is cold and sheltered. I wish I could find a queen who I can trust to melt it, who can light my way through the darkness of day and save this kingdom from falling." End quote.
Darkness of day.
Mm-hmm.
This is giving me flashbacks to I think my first boyfriend ever actually wrote a little YouTube intro for the Green Day song that he did a guitar cover of when we were 2 days into dating. And it was a version of that. And he put my name in it and sent me the link.
Does it still exist?
I honestly don't know if it would. I'd have it in my Facebook messages somewhere, but I just remember I opened that link in front of my mom, and good on my mother because she saw it, and I'm imagining what she was thinking, but she just went and walked away.
I wouldn't be able to.
Well, no, I think it's because I was sitting there and I'm like, this is...
You were weirded out by
I was
it,
weirded out.
So, yeah. Well, you had a good reaction to that then.
I did have a good reaction to that.
Yeah.
Which is good, because that's actually the boyfriend that went on to strangle his girlfriend. Came across
job,
my dad's
Connie.
desk.
I'm
My
proud
dad
of
had to
you.
pass that on.
Yeah.
He's like, conflict of interest. Another lawyer has to handle this.
Yeah. No. So, in the summer of 2005, Jasmine began to spend most of her time with the mall goth group. Jasmine became close with a 13-year-old named Kaylee, who became her best friend, basically. She was also on networking sites. So on Kaylee's networking site, she wrote, "I'm very easygoing person, not difficult to get along with at all. Just don't piss me off or I'll probably find ways to fuck your shit up. I live for my friends. They're the best part of my life. That's all I feel the need to share with you at the moment."
I also knew girls who were just like that.
Same. That was a whole vibe when we were in middle school.
100%.
Which fits because they were in middle school.
They were in middle school, and, you know, we're around the same... Well, no, we were in middle school later than they were.
She was 3 to 4 years ahead of us.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I just remember 6th grade, 2008 presidential election, because I remember watching Barack Obama being inaugurated in different classes throughout the day.
Now that you say that, I do remember that, because my social studies class, we voted.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that we had an election day.
Yep. So did we.
Oh, wow.
I think we did a school-wide one, if I recall correctly.
Oh, we just did it for that class.
Oh, yeah, we did a school-wide one, but then the teachers who put it together got in trouble because our school was it was a polling ground.
Oh.
And you can't have any election stuff going on there, any campaigning. And
Oops.
so kids were wearing like Obama shirts.
Uh-oh.
Yep. And so they had to be told to turn it inside out. And that turned into a whole thing where people are like, you're racist. And the teachers are like, we're not. It's like literally illegal what you're doing.
Yeah. Just on this day.
Yeah. Sorry. That was a tangent of just like, we remember this stuff from middle school.
Yeah, I do remember that now. So Kaylee was actually the one to introduce Jasmine to Jeremy. Jasmine was immediately impressed with Jeremy. He was popular, good-looking, and had a presence about him. In December 2005, Jasmine and Jeremy began to casually see each other as friends. They would confide in each other. Jasmine would tell him about her parents and how she's fighting with them over her association with older guys like Raven and Trenchcoat. Jeremy's even older than both of them.
Yeah, and honey, Jasmine, sweetie, that's perfectly logical that mom and dad have concerns on that. Be lucky mom and dad didn't shut this shit down when you started wearing chokers and miniskirts.
A lot would.
Oh God, if I had tried that,
I remember one time I went to a friend's house. I think I might have been in high school. I think I might have been a freshman. And she had black nail polish. And we painted our nails black, and I came home, and my mom was pissed.
I am imagining your mother.
She was pissed, and that was just nail polish.
Yeah. Ooh.
So, yeah. So that would not have flown.
No. The association with older guys wouldn't have flown for either of us, as it shouldn't.
It was hard enough to talk to people my brother's age with my parents. I'm like, it's 3 years, but that seems more reasonable than that.
Yeah. A lot of it, because again, we're still operating within the same year. So Jasmine is 12?
Yes. 12. And he's 23. Yeah, so Jeremy was confiding in her, telling her about drifting apart from his fiancée, Danielle. Mark and Deborah, so Jasmine's parents, were very disapproving of older guys, as they should be, but they were calling the house for Jasmine. She quickly found a workaround for this, though. She would have a female friend call, and as soon as Jasmine was on the line, they would pass the phone to whomever she wanted to talk to, whether it be Raven or Trenchcoat or Jeremy. Jasmine would go to punk shows every weekend against her parents' wishes.
Where'd she get the money for concert tickets?
I have no idea where the money came from with this girl, because she's not even old enough to have a job.
Doesn't have a bank account. Okay, we have questions. We have no answers, but
nope. This was also all age punk shows. So,
okay.
Deborah found a study that adolescence is the only time in one's life that a person felt older than their age, and only feel their age in their 20s, and beyond that, a person feels younger than their age. Which just blows my mind, because I
agree with that, yeah.
I agree with that, too. So a school guidance counselor at Jasmine's school became very worried about her. They talked, and Jasmine had told her that she was upset. She wanted to change things, and she wanted out of the house, all just because the rules were too much for her. Jasmine, honey, you have no rules.
She has no rules.
They're just telling you, your parents are telling you they don't like you associating yourself with older boys.
They are giving a perfectly reasonable rule. And she's just like, oh, it's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jasmine also told the counselor that she hates it there so much that she wants to go into foster care.
You got a mom and dad that love you. And they've already given you so much freedom. You've got a mom who's not embarrassed to go to the food shelf to get food to make sure your family's fed. She's putting family's welfare above her pride. But you want to go. Ooh, I'm
going to foster care.
grateful. My God.
Yep.
Granted, I don't know the situation every day, but from what I'm hearing from here, Jasmine is ungrateful.
Very. So the counselor found that there were no concerns for her safety and just seemed to be a teen simply mad at her parents.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. In early February 2006, Jeremy told Jasmine that he was no longer engaged to Danielle. And around Valentine's Day, Jeremy had emailed Jasmine asking her to be his girlfriend. And then a few days later, he asked her out via phone, and they went to an all-ages punk show. Jasmine was not sure how old Jeremy was, and Jeremy was not sure how old Jasmine was. Jasmine assumed he was older, and then she asked her friends to ask Jeremy how old he thought Jasmine was. And he assumed that she was at least 16.
It's so weird that he's thinking that's cool to be with a 16-year-old at 23, but
It's not.
it's not.
I mean, slightly better, but it's still really bad.
Okay, better than 12, but that's like, is it better to be stabbed with a 3-inch knife or a 4-inch knife? Both suck.
Yeah.
Sorry, honey. Mom is getting heated over here.
Zeus is checking in on her. She's okay, I promise.
Well,
well,
yeah.
you will be okay. You'll be fine. Okay, so after the show, Jeremy asked Jasmine what the verdict was. Would she be his girlfriend? Jasmine says yes. But she knew her parents would disapprove since they weren't exactly happy about Devin, who was only 16. So she decided it would be best to keep their relationship a secret. They talked almost every night on the phone, either by sneaking the cordless phone into her room or going down to the basement where she wouldn't be overheard. They also talked a lot via IM. Jasmine loved the attention from Jeremy, and sneaking out was a thrill. Tensions at Jasmine's house, though, were increasing because of her association with older guys and her growing irresponsibility. One night, Jasmine's parents left Jasmine to babysit Jacob, and Jasmine and her friend left him alone to go to a nearby 7-Eleven. Jacob was scared and ended up calling Deborah on her cell phone. Jasmine was told she was grounded indefinitely. By the end of February, Jeremy found Jasmine's Nexopia page and discovered that she was 15 and not 16 like he assumed. She's not even 15! And even though this was an 8-year age difference, it didn't mean much to him and didn't think much about it since his group of friends aged ranged from 13 to 25.
Where's the red flag? We need a red flag. We need a red flag. I'm going on Amazon after this and getting a physical red flag.
Would it just be comforting to you to just hold a red flag up through this whole thing?
Pretty much just waving it, yeah. Because I want to interrupt with more, but I'm cognizant of there's so much we still have to get through. And if I interrupt with every single opinion I have, this is going to be a 7-part series. 5 of which are me just yelling.
Oh, we just started page 9. We're not that far.
The hell are we in for?
Okay, so on Nexopia, Jeremy's username was Soul Eater. Soul Eater. His likes were fellow Lycan brethren and listed several death metal artists. His dislikes were My Heart Being Broken Again, Homewreckers, Hypocrites, Lies, The Sun, Untrustworthy People or Unreliable People, Backstabbers, Cheaters, Spider Webs, not spiders, they're cool, spelled Kewl, Planes, Posers, Prostitutes, I like to kill them, play with their insides, then eat. And those are his dislikes.
Okay, Jack the motherfucking Ripper.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was almost going to say dude doesn't sound too bad because I was with him for several of those things. Then he had to go and start doing that shit.
Spiders are cool, Connie. Spider webs aren't, but spiders are cool.
Agree to disagree.
Jeremy soon after joined a goth website, vampirefreaks.com, and used a similar username. Jasmine accepted Jeremy's friend request. Jeremy also made a dark alter ego. On this site, Jeremy professed to be a 300-year-old immortal and said the Lycan Empire would rise. He then listed his age as 213. Math ain't mathin'.
Well, he's obviously not so good with numbers if he's with a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
There's TBI, and then there's DB, dumbass.
Yeah. So Jasmine started fighting more and more with her parents and was being grounded on weekends. She started imagining her life without her parents. During this time, Jasmine and Jeremy talked on the phone late at night, met up at the mall, or snuck off to his trailer.
Romantic.
Very romantic. Jeremy would serenade Jasmine over the phone with songs he wrote for her. He said he loved her often. She was flattered, and she was falling in love with him.
You are 12. You are not physically, chemically capable of love. You're basically a little psychopath until you're like 17, 18.
See our previous episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Jasmine's parents became concerned about her older male friends and started monitoring her computer pages.
About time.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
She also wasn't allowed to take any more phone calls from boys and actually said she couldn't talk to guys at all.
How do you enforce that? Okay, anyway.
Yeah, so Jasmine turned to the internet instead to communicate to everybody. Jasmine came up with a code to let the other person know if parents were coming or were in the room or when she would need to get off. On March 9th, Jeremy posted a poem on his Nexopia blog. It isn't known if this was in reference to Jasmine's parents, though. Quote, "The world I live in is dark and cold. The things these pitiful souls do to seem to never get old. I wish they would all die. The earth can burn. To hear them all scream, I yearn. Their blood should be spilled. For some of them, my heart they killed. But it is not for that which I wish they'd die, but for the planet being filled with hatred, deceit, and lies." Also during this time, Jeremy wore a small vial of blood around his neck.
Oh, Angelina Jolie did that with What's His Nuts already. Poser. You are what you hate, you hypocrite. Oh, you hate those too.
Well, how are you doing over there, Connie?
The urge to grab these children by the shoulders and shake the ever-living shit out of them. Granted, I don't think if I shake Jeremy anymore, there's not much brain left to TB. But I just... Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I've been trying to figure out a place to stop, and this might be a good place to stop for episode 1.
Great idea. Let's get my blood pressure down before we start recording the next part. I need more tea.
Yeah, so we are going to take a break, and we will hop back on and record part 2 for you guys. But make sure that you're following us on all of our social medias so you are notified when we post the next part to this episode, because I'm not sure how we're going to do it. We'll talk about it and figure it out. But follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok, all at Chaos Chronicles Podcast, and that's Chronicles with an S. I know this is a strange one, and it's going to keep getting strange. So,
Oh boy. Y'all, let's go for a ride. We'll see you in part 2.
yeah. Bye.
What the fuck?
Oh, just wait.
What the fuck?